Live.
That's too late. We're
What's the
live.
topic? Okay, we're live.
We're live. Tint Wisdom number 75. You had all this time. You brought it up right after we went live. Um, so on one side of me is Harry Rahman from Veloce Innovations, and on the other side, Rick Tallman from the Window Film Revolution. And then joining us in a little bit should be Patric Fransko from Window Film Pros. So welcome, Harry. Welcome, Rick.
Hey, great to be back. What's up, Harry?
Thank you, Eric. Hey, Rick.
Oh, chisel.
Living the dream, man. Living the dream. Eric, number 75, man. You're growing old fast, Eric.
75, and we've been doing this since last September 1st, I think was the first Tint Wisdom. So we're looking at closing in on 100 by next September 1st.
Wow. Awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody coming in good?
Yeah, everybody's loud and clear, and Vinny just joined us in the comments. So for today's Tint Wisdom, as Rick was asking at the very beginning what today's topic is, and some of the things that we could probably talk about today, I was thinking would be maybe, Facebook group related, engagement, Facebook engagement. We have Harry, obviously you have Veloce Innovation. So there's, engagement from manufacturers to dealers. You also obviously closely monitor your dealers, engagement with their customers online, their Facebook page and so on. And then Rick, you bring a whole nother aspect to it of engagement in window film groups, the different things that go into successful engagement in there, and what you think makes a successful group. And we'll go from there.
Okay.
What do you think?
Good.
Well, I didn't think I was going to be talking about a group immediately.
Oh, well, you won't. We'll start with Harry. Harry,
Okay.
unless you want to.
No, not yet.
That's okay. We'll set him up, man. We'll set him up well.
Harry, so go ahead.
Yeah. So look, when Rick, we were thinking about what Eric and I were thinking about were, different times, and this will kind of lead into your topic of why this particular topic. But we were thinking about, at different times as an industry, we need to come together. And you've done a good job, as have a couple of other people. But you've done a good job of bringing people together. And in times shift, whether it's the summer, we have summer topics, we have winter topics that we can go hard on, and we have COVID topics, we have good economy topics, we have bad economy topics. So what we were thinking of, how can, whether it's groups or it's websites or it's softwares like Eric has with Tint Wiz, what can they do to help bring people together? At the end of the day, the whole purpose of a group, whether it's a car club or whatever type of club it is, a golf club, is that it's there to bring people together, and it's there for mutual interest. So the question then becomes, if we are there together, what else can we do together? How else can we benefit our members? And also, how else can we benefit, in our case, the end consumer, right? So this kind of leads into a little bit. Eric, your thoughts?
My thoughts with what?
No, your thoughts about, today's topic and how it came about. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think, really the most important, look, I'm going to tell you my perspective, obviously. I just always like to preface it. To me, I feel like there's a tremendous value in online engagement. If you can engage with your customer or your audience, whoever that is, I think that's of the utmost value. And I feel like, you want to go all in there. And that's why I think it's such a great topic, because we have different perspectives of how engagement matters. And, I want to touch on some of that. And I also feel like, we have an opportunity today to talk to both Rick Tallman and then potentially Patric Fransko with some Harry Rahman. And that's a great combination, because you have, as we've mentioned before, you have, I think, the two largest window film groups on Facebook, and you have the leaders of those two groups. And, I always say there's tremendous value in Facebook groups and in obviously online engagement. And I think we can maybe get down to some of the ways people take advantage of, like in a good way, take advantage of these groups, and kind of what are the ingredients to being a successful group member too. Like what does Window Film Revolution look for, and what do you see common characteristics amongst the more successful members, the members you think get more out of these groups? Because I think if you're a window film dealer, whether you're getting benefit out of the groups or you're learning on how to better engage your customers, I think it's a win on both sides. Or Rick, what do you think?
Well, here's my entire vision for well, not my entire vision.
Hey, I'm sorry, Rick. Can I cut you off real quick?
Yeah.
Chris asked a couple times if you were in Houston 2 years ago at the Solar Control.
Yes, I was. Yes.
That's the man.
Yes, I remember, Bubba.
It's Chris Trevino.
Yeah. I was at the Solar Control competition a couple years ago. Absolutely. Had a great time. Had a blast meeting everybody out there. I love my Texas people, man. There's several names I could just drop right now of just people over there I love. I mean, I had an absolute blast. I love Texas, actually. I don't necessarily love Houston because, I mean, it's a big, sprawling lot of people. But, I love a lot of the people over in that area.
Chris said that he competed with you at the group or at the Tint Off.
Yeah. I remember, man. It's good seeing you. Well,
I thought his comment said that he taught Rick Tallman at the thing. No, that's a joke.
Hey, man, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got as far as I did.
We do have a good comment from Mark Carlson. I just want to clear something up. He asked which one's Rick, and because you guys look so similar. So to clear that, Harry, you're to my left. That's Harry Rahman to my left, and then that's Rick Tallman to my right. Rick's in the orange, and Harry is Rick. You have to look at the shirt if you don't recognize the face difference.
Yeah. This is Rick.
Rick, can we take back off where we left off with talking group?
Yes. Well, it's interesting of something that you just said. There's a question that we've been asking, and we keep asking the same question, and I think we're asking the wrong question. We keep saying, what can this do for me, or what can I, what can getting involved with this thing do for me? Listen, whether you're Window Film Pros, Window Film Revolution, if you've been on those groups for a while, we've already, we're already doing for each other now. And, as far as togetherness, we're already together. The next step, as an industry, we're already together. But the next step, we're together, but now we need to get on the same page. We all just need to get on the same page. We need to figure out what page that needs to be, and everybody's going to have a different opinion, obviously. And I'm trying to think of the right way to say this.
Like if
everybody,
go ahead.
Well, the end. What is the end goal that we want to achieve, other than being great window tinters, great wrap installers, whatever sticky stuff we're playing with? We can help each other do that relatively easy. The one thing that everybody is focusing on is how to get the end consumer looking at us, paying attention to us, directed to us. Well, I think before we even worry about that, what is our common goal as an industry that we want the end consumer to see? My personal vision is I want end consumers to see us just like we see each other, like an extended family. And I mean, we're all across the world. I mean, mainly in the United States currently, but I mean, listen, we've got Australia, Canada. I mean, the list goes on. People need to see that we've got our shit together first. They don't just need to see that we're selling window tint or we're selling wraps or anything like that. If you want people to value our industry, we have to value it first. We have to come together first. That's the reason I've not been in a rush to do any type of website or anything like that. It's always mentioned how heavily moderated WFR is. And I spoke with Harry about this the other day. And here's my whole deal. The reason WFR is so heavily moderated is because even though it's just us looking at it right now, we need to condition ourselves and be conditioned to not be talking too much shit and just act as if the general public is watching what we're saying. Because my goal is to get us all on a forum, let people see us interact together. Let people see that, yes, this really is a tight-knit community. Look at how well these people are talking with each other. Look how respectful they are. Look how they're sharing ideas. I mean, listen, you can make a website and type up some print and say, hey, we love each other. We share ideas. That is not the same as seeing that interaction. That is not the same as seeing the atmosphere that we already know about. We don't need to share that we tint windows. We don't need to share that we wrap vehicles. We don't need to share that. We need to share that all of us, no matter what nationality, color, creed, whatever's between your legs, that doesn't matter. We need to show that we're together. And as far as this COVID stuff goes and all the craziness in the world,
Stop right
I don't
there.
want to have no part in that. All
Stop
I
right
want
there.
to do, like, I want to have zero part in that. The only thing I want to
Me
have
too.
part in is leading by example. We can talk about what we feel about COVID. We can talk about conspiracy
No. Let's
theories.
get off of all that. Harry, what do you think
Okay,
as far as
go
the
ahead.
what do you think as far as the group goes? What do you?
Look, I think, Rick, I think that you have a good vision. I like the fact that you want to help the industry get into the consumer markets. But I think that there's going to have to be some level of separation between what goes in the locker room and what goes outside the locker room. So I think your intent, I totally agree with, and I really like where you're headed, because I'm not sure how many groups are headed in that direction. So I applaud you for that. You're doing a good job, and I like your vision. But I just think that there are some things that just, I mean, not some things, but a lot of things that need to stay in the locker room. So however you decide to do it, I would just say that there may be a panel, there may be an area where people can, as they step outside the locker room, there's an area that can be seen by the public, but that's outside the locker room.
And I appreciate you for saying that. We're already on it.
Awesome.
Like we're literally already on that. There is a fine balance between how much we need end consumers to see. The biggest thing they need to see is that we're working together. They don't need to see us arguing over specs, over film, and stuff like that. That's not to say that we can't have disagreements and talk about. There is definitely certain stuff that the end consumer doesn't have to see, doesn't need to see. There's other groups, or well, not even groups. There's other organizations out there that already have. What's up, Patric? There's already at least one website, organization, whatever you want to call it, that's been around for a long time. And I'm not going to name drop, and there's nobody here in this conversation, just so everybody's clear. But you can go in, the general public can go in, look, and the general public, you can go in and see people cussing each other out. You can see them. I mean, the whole locker room thing that you were just talking about, Harry, you're right in the stench of the locker room. Before the game, after the good, bad, and ugly, it's all there. And I think it's a black eye on our industry, and in the future, I want to improve that. But Patric's here. He's got a vision, as well. And I think every one of us sitting right here simply want the industry to come together, and we want to do great things, not just improve the industry. I mean, we want to be great. All of us sitting here want to be great in this industry, because we all want to uplift the industry. So, hey, somebody was celebrating.
Patric,
welcome. What's going on, guys?
Welcome, Patric.
Pat, what's up?
I had to do something specifically between 7 and 7:15 for a client, and couldn't get out of it. So glad to be here now.
Pat, but first of all, guys, before we get started, I just want to say, guys, I applaud the two of you being on here and being available to, on behalf of obviously Eric, who's the host. But I wanted to just let you guys know that, look, there is a common theme here, industry, and both of you guys coming together on this call to discuss how better it and what's possibly missing and where it can go in the future says a lot about this industry. Sorry, Eric, not to steal your thunder, man.
There's no thunder. I'm in California. Yeah. It barely rains. So Patric, welcome. Thanks for joining. And, kind of to circle back around, I do want to, like Harry was saying, I do want to commend both of you, because really, here's the deal. Like, we're all in the same industry, but most of us are, very tied up working within our own business, essentially. So to come out of that and say, hey, I'm not going to only handle my own business, but I'm going to do things like organizing a group and pursuing things that are going to better the whole industry, that obviously is worth recognizing, that's appreciated, that makes all the difference. That's how we're all here, I think. I feel like there would be no live stream without Facebook groups. It would never happen.
Listen, speaking of these Facebook groups, I mean, we have a pioneer sitting right here with us in our ranks. I mean, Patric's sitting right there. He should have shit eating grin on his face, because he's been very influential on this industry, and he should be applauded, and I've got the utmost respect for him. I just got a message and I thought it was I don't know, I haven't listened to the Eagles in a long time, but what was that last tour they did? What was it called? Was that a Hell Free Over tour?
What is the cheering thing? This is something since the last time I'm on. Is that like action from somebody watching, or what is that? What is that? Oh, okay. Last time we did one, I didn't. That wasn't there, so I didn't know. But anyway,
I'm glad it's not laughing, because I'd ask if they're laughing with us or at us. But a little bit of both. Yeah. So guys, here's the thing. You're both here, and you both have your visions of what you want to do. So the question is that you've done a good job of bringing people together. What is the next phase? And if we're asking for keys to the kingdom, then you can leave those aside. But the question is, Rick, we'll start with you, since you just joined as well, is where do you see take industry? I know you've got your consumer awareness programs as well going, but what is the next phase of these groups looking like? What kind of support structure? What do you think is currently missing? And you don't have to go into, if you don't want to, exactly what you're doing about it, but if you can, that would give us a little bit on. So the point we're trying to make is there's so many people, there's so many members. Both of you have done a great job of bringing them together, providing resources, but what is that next step?
So we're specifically talking about the action groups, not some of the other projects that we're working on outside of that, correct? I just want to make sure.
Tell us all of the above. Let's start there, so that we can see that, and then if you've got other things, tell us more.
Okay, so I think 10 years ago when I started the LinkedIn group was actually the first one, believe it or not. It actually existed before the Facebook group. I really wanted to, at that time, and all dude, the actual innovator in the industry, I would be remiss to say, is Tint Dude was around before any of us were here. The Tint Dude. And at the time, 10 years ago, I really saw things moving more towards social media and LinkedIn. And then subsequently, at that time, there was actually a social media platform called MySpace for the really old people in the room. But then Facebook came around, and Tint Dude was a forum that I saw people's attention moving away from forums and going more towards social media. So I really just created the group to create a room that wasn't open to the outside public, where we as an industry can talk about things that are happening in the industry, challenges we're facing in the industry, and be able to do it kind of behind a curtain, so that the general public wasn't, if somebody wanted to ask a particular question that you might not want the general public to see, like your customer, that we could talk about that in the group and do it in a place that people were already paying attention, i.e. in Facebook, where people are already spending time. So I really, my feeling about the group still, from that perspective hasn't changed a lot, from a standpoint of really creating a place where people can, go and find help, find answers to questions they have, things like that. One of the reasons I called people have always questioned, like, why there's a new guy in the group that's asking a basic question. And I've always viewed Window Film Pros as a group for anybody that's window tinting for a living or trying to window tint for a living. And that includes everybody somebody that's been doing it for 30 years and somebody that just started 30 days ago. And I wanted to create a safe space where people could come and grow. Some of the people that maybe have only been in it for 30 days maybe came from a business background to where maybe they can share some business skills with people that have been tinting for 30 years. So I don't look at it as all one directional. I feel like everybody that's a member brings something to the table, and it's a place where we can all come together and hopefully share our best ideas. And that, I go by the mindset of, an abundance mindset, and a rising tide lifts all boats. I don't view it as competition. I view it as the better the industry is, the better it is for all of us. And as far as the piece, I'll just touch on it real quickly. Several years ago, I started the consumer side of it because in the 20 plus years I've been in the industry, the common thing that always comes up is, in general, the public doesn't really understand what window films are and what they can do. And we've always talked historically about like a Got Milk type campaign where the industry can kind of come together and just share non-branded information with consumers to raise consumer awareness. And so I started the consumer awareness program with the mindset of just trying to chip away at that. And if only one person out of 100 really is well educated about window film, if we could just make that 2 out of 100, we've doubled the size of the people out there that understand something about our industry. So we're just trying to take small chips away at it and be realistic about what we can accomplish, but just trying to do something. So that's it.
And
I don't know if I answered exactly what you were looking for or not, Harry. You got this look on your face like
no, I think I think you did, Patrick. So what, first of all, thank you for, like Rick said, you were there before, you were the first one there, and you've done a good job, and you've done it very professionally. And Rick has done a good job as well. So the question is, so the tail end of that question is, Patric, tell us, I get the consumer side, but as of today, you've run this, and where do you think, what could you change to add more value to the members?
I think the biggest thing that, and again, I don't mind sharing what we're doing because I don't really view it as like there's keys to the kingdom. I'm just, every day trying to make the group a little bit better. I feel like our part as a moderation team, and my part is the one that started the group, is to potentially foster more of those discussions. I feel like we've historically kind of took a step back and allowed the discussions to happen organically. But I feel like what you're going to start seeing happen in our group is us as a moderation team and me as an administrator try to flesh out some of those areas where I really feel like there's some members in the group that have some expertise and try to foster that dialogue. So kind of a public square, if you will. And as an admin team and as a moderation team, we can serve to sort of spark the conversation, not to be the people that necessarily have the loudest voice, but sometimes all you need is somebody to begin the conversation and to open up the town hall to begin the conversation. So I really feel like we need to become more active as a moderation team and an administrative team to foster that conversation that I feel like is there. We've just sort of, hopefully, we've been trying to wait for it to happen organically, and I think we could take a more active role.
Thank you. So that's a very good point. Good. Rick, take us through you, man.
Okay. Listen, I'll keep it as simple as I can. My objective is show people love. Show people that we love each other first. Before we worry about products and getting people to see us, what are they going to see when they find us? I just want people to see us getting along, truly working with each other. And listen, you can't do that overnight. Patric knows this. You know this. Eric knows this. But what Patric has done over a period of time, what I've done over a period of time, we've brought people together that were like-minded and had similar processes. Now, listen, I always like to talk about it like circles. Some of us might call it communities or churches or neighborhoods. We've got all these different communities and churches and neighborhoods. So having all these different churches, communities, neighborhood, that's all great. But within the leadership of each of those, we've all got varying opinions. And I think it's great that we have varying opinions. But in each of our individual circle of influence, we have various opinions. So we're always going to be slightly, we're not always going to completely agree on everything. But this is the time that all of us, not just me and my circle of friends, not just Patric and his circle of friends, we can do things separate. We can have our own circles. We can say, slap each other on the back. Woohoo, we're doing awesome. But ultimately, how are we doing awesome? I think us leaders in the industry, and listen, I'm only going to speak for myself. I can't speak for Patric. I can't speak for anybody else. But for a while, I had the whole it's us versus them mentality. Not even gonna lie, and that's for different reasons. But I've come to find that instead of looking at it like an us versus them mentality, which don't get me wrong, every now and then that still pops off. Hard habits are hard to break, but instead of it being us versus them, let it be us with them, and then eventually let it just be us. You see what I'm saying? We can take steps to get even closer. And when you get a bunch of leaders together, a lot of us are alpha personalities. And so we all have to swallow a little bit of ego. I don't, it's the way it is. When you get a bunch of leaders together, look at politics. There's a lot of politics involved in this industry. Look at what it took to make this broadcast happen. Politics. But it takes somebody extending their hand. Let's work together. So we're going to work, now that we're going to work together, maybe not work together, the end goal is still the same. I think we're all going to converge in the same spot, whether we work together now or not, because we're aiming at the same goals. It's just, how long is it going to be before we get there? I think that we can work together and get to our goals way faster than working apart. A good buddy of mine named Rahman, he says 1 + 1 normally equals 2. But in some cases, 1 + 1, in his words, can equal 19. I normally just say a whole hell of a lot more than 2. He says like 19 or something. And I think that's the case. And I think if the industry sees, and when I say industry, first off, us, we have to see that we're unified. If we've got like the top 2 influential groups out there, and people don't see us talking with each other, they don't see us interacting, that in and of itself is a statement. And so the statement I want to make today is that no matter what happened in the past, no matter differences between me and anybody here or me and anybody off of here, because we've all got differences with people, set those differences aside, get over it, apologize if you have to, whatever you got to do, watch ego, and let's grow huge together. Let's grow this industry together, because we're already together. We're just in our own little, cliques and stuff is what it comes down to. Do you want end consumers to see that we're basically still divided in a big way?
So I don't think there's any I'm willing to say I don't think there's a single end consumer that goes on Facebook, sees that there's 2 different groups or 3 or 4 industry groups, and goes, the fact that there's not 1 and there's 4 means that these guys aren't united. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think that's the case. However, I'm not. Oh, go ahead. I do understand, like, as a tinter, like, being unified, having all the tinters unified in one group or coming together would absolutely be a benefit, because you get less of that us versus them and throwing shit over the wall at the other guy and seeing what comes and so on, because you're all in the same place. You're part of the community. My question, really towards both Rick and Patric is, today's live stream, is almost like part of a path of redemption in between like Rick and Patric, or there's been kind of a path of redemption, kind of like saying, hey, we may have been a little more divided. We're going to be a little less divided and work in that direction. My question is, if you have members that come in there, whether they came in a month ago or they come in a month from now, and they say, fuck 3M, this, that, and the other, and you go, hey, you can't do that in here, and you're taking a break, and they say, fuck you, and then you ban them. What kind of, if any, do you see path to redemption if they say a few months from now, man, I was wrong. I want to be part of that group. I shouldn't have acted that way or whatnot. Or if they don't come to that epiphany, what kind of path to redemption do you think there could be to help people better understand what this group is about? Because somebody who makes a post and then gets banned may not really absorb all the good intention behind the rules and the moderation.
I'll take a crack at that. I mean, obviously, in 10 years, I mean, I've kind of seen a little bit of everything. We have had people that have gotten, you know, we try to take people down a stair-step approach with the group. Usually, we might remove a post if it's out of line. That's usually followed up by either myself or one of the moderators reaching out directly to that person and trying to say, hey, this is why that post was removed. Try not to break that particular rule again, or try to give them some insight into why we removed the post. So that's kind of step 2. Step 3 is usually specifically me reaching out to them and saying, hey, there's a reason we have these rules. If this continues, we're gonna have to remove you from the group. And then step 4 would be removal. And I'm always open to somebody reaching out to me directly at a further later date and saying, hey, I was wrong. I didn't want, you know, and so I guess to me, to get removed from our group, you kind of have to walk down a path that is pretty well defined, and you know you're passing certain milestones while you walk down it. But even then, I'm not opposed to somebody coming back and say, hey, can you give me another chance? I mean, there's no forever banning, at least in our group. But I mean, we do try to take steps so that people understand, you know, that the rules are there for a reason, and it's not to silence anybody. It's to try to foster actually constructive and civil conversation. And usually when two people are yelling at each other, or people start the conversation with a screw this company or screw this person, not a lot good is going to come after that. So we try to nip that in the bud where we can.
I think that, Patric, that's a really good point. So, I mean, I want to reach out to all those people that have been banned or have said something and have gotten offended. You have to understand that what Patric or Rick is going to say is that this is not a personal issue, that there are rules to any group. Now, if you had your own group, maybe you would run it differently. But the fact is that you could have made a mistake. You could have said something high on emotion, or even if you don't quite understand, reach out to the moderators and try to understand why that policy is in place. Don't take it so personally. And that if you have been banned, you know what, there's another opportunity to reach out to the moderators and get back on the forums instead of saying, you know, screw it, I'll just go somewhere else.
I don't know. It all depends. It all comes down to their attitude. That's my perspective. It all comes down to their attitude. If they got kicked out, there was a reason. But if they, just like Patric says, if they, show remorse, or they at least show, hey, I didn't realize this, I'm cool with it. We're more of a ask questions after the fact type of group. And the reason for that is I would rather everybody say that, hey, you can't screw around in that group. I'd rather they say that and say that we're the, heavily moderated instead of this is our home. Like I look at WFR. I look at WFR like that's my house. That's my home. That's a lot of other people's homes.
But don't you think we have a better chance of like if you're saying you're like kind of the group is more an ask questions later group, like after the fact, and like don't you think that if I'm about to enter into your home, me knowing the rules of your home would help me help us foster a better relationship together. So like if I know I'm going into your home and you expect somebody to take the shoes off in that home, I mean, let's just say I'm not a civil person. Me knowing that and getting the opportunity to not only know that's a rule, but understand why you have that preference as a rule would help. But if I go in and I walk in with my shoes and you yell at me and I tell you after the fact, we're going to get off on the wrong foot. I might go next door and say, you look at this asshole that lives next door to you. You know what I mean? And then it starts, and it's
well, listen, if you're coming to my house, but there's a big difference.
But is it my house or is it our group? Because if it's for the industry, it's an hour, and it's what's in the best interest of the group and getting everybody to be on the same page. It's different, you know.
I want every single person that's in WFR to think exactly like that. This is my house. And when I say mine, I'm not speaking specifically me, but I want every single member to say, hey, this is my house. And there's a big difference between walking into my house with your shoes on, not knowing the rules, or walking into the house and wiping shit all over my wall. There's a huge difference. You know, you're going to get
so Rick, you're right. You're right. But I want to touch on Eric's point. And I guess what Eric is saying is, and I'll put this in terms of, for some of our dealers in terms of a deed restriction in a neighborhood. There are certain things you can do, and there's certain things. So they put the deed restrictions out there so that you know what you are allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And if you and so what Eric is saying is what we describe as a standard operating procedure. If you put those rules down, and I know it's impossible to define every rule in the book, right? But there are some general guidelines. So if those general guidelines are before somebody joins the group, maybe you even have, just like Facebook has its terms and conditions, you have this where, okay, I understand. And what I would do is I would take it a step further, is I would create a little bit, gentlemen, of a little questionnaire that they have to check every little box on the basic terms and fundamentals of the rules of your group. And that way, normally when people are checking this or they're initialing something, they're normally reading it, especially if they're like not 100 of them, but they're 10 basic rules. They're checking on it and so forth. It just reinforces that, guys, here are the terms and conditions. Eric, is that kind of what you were saying, or what do you think?
I mean, look, it's not like there's a group of people in a hallway and they're chatting about the group and you're like, hey, don't fuck around in there. And then they walk in. A lot of times it's people, they're just like searching Facebook or it suggests it and they're like, join group. And then they go in there, they act like a schmuck or they say something about a brand and they don't realize you can't criticize a brand, or, maybe they try to sell something. And I'm just saying that, I think that it's very easy to maybe get rubbed the wrong way and get kicked out, which is fair and fine. And I do agree. Or Carlson, every group has the right to administer the content as they see fit. What I'm asking is, for those who get off on a wrong foot, is there something that can be done preemptively? And then is there something that can be done after the fact? Because if me and you get off on the wrong foot because I go in there and throw some shit, if me and you never talk again about it and there's nothing else that could bring me back to the light, as I'm just saying, over time, there's a divide because you're dividing a couple. Every 1 out of 100 gets banned or whatever it is. And if there's not a path to redemption, I just think over time, what you end up with is a group of people who are upset at something else and essentially create a separate group. And then you're back to square one, which is multiple groups.
And Eric, I want to throw one thing real quick before, guys, just to interrupt. So, look, another thing is that, look, sometimes when this happens, right, it's a little bit of an attitude of, okay, well, Patrick threw me out or Rick threw me out, and I'm just going to go to the other group and I'm going to start my talk over there. So if there are, as we talk about coming together, if there are, the standard rules don't have to be identical, right? So we have a group called Veloce dealers, right? One very simple rule we have is that 1 + 1 = 19. If you're coming down here to put down a competitor, yeah, right, Rick, you're smiling. If you're coming down here to put down a competitor, don't do it. We're not going to put up with it. If you're coming down here to put anybody down, if you're coming in here to improve. It's a very simple. I mean, we don't have a ton of, because it's a much smaller group. The goal is it's not a it's a dealer group. So and the goal is that, look, if you're coming in here to learn, if you're coming in here to help other people, if you're coming in here to add some value, more power to you. Anything beyond that, we're not tolerating.
And that's exactly my thoughts.
Your thoughts, but the question is, how does it get communicated to members is the point. Because I think anybody who hears your thoughts understands and is on board. But the question is, when somebody's just going to click to the group, how can they understand that about the group that they're joining?
Well, I mean, just speaking for my group, as I mentioned there, I mean, yes, the rules are there when you first join, but again, we take a little bit more personal approach to talking to people, to the point where, you know, if we went through this step of talking to people and reaching out, and at the end of that, literally myself reaching out to them via DM and saying, hey, here's where, you know, we've been going down this path. And, you know, my point is there nobody's just unilaterally removed with no reason. I mean, they basically had to have a discussion with a moderator, discussion with me, and decide, I don't really care what you say, Pat, I'm going to do my own thing. And that if they proceed down that path, they eventually may be removed from the group. But ultimately, and again, even that wouldn't be permanent. I think communication is the key. I mean, if I have an issue with something somebody said in the group, I'm just going to reach out to them via DM and be like, hey, man, you know, I'm not trying to stifle your voice. I'm not trying to not let you say what you need to say, but there's a way to say it, and there's a constructive way to say it. And again, if somebody decides, I don't care what I'm going to proceed down a path that's different from what the group rules are, then they can be removed from the group. But by that point in time, nobody should be blindsided by it. They're not going to be shocked by the fact they got removed. I mean, they've walked down a path and been warned numerous times and decided to continue down that path. So, I mean, but even then, Eric, to your point, I'm always open for somebody to say, I'm thinking of an individual right now that actually has become a friend. And when he first came in the group, he was a young gun and guns a-blazing, and was, you know, really turning off a lot of people, and has matured like we all do from the early 20s to the late 20s, and has become a very productive member of the group, and actually came back and said that he was in the wrong. And I mean, you know, to me, we welcomed him back with open arms. I mean, there wasn't any like lifetime ban for that.
Rick, what do you think?
I just think it's funny. We think so much alike, but there's different perceptions. And I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on certain things. You know, everything depends. Just like, you know, we can, just like Patrick said, yeah, we've got the rules posted up right after it, right? But you're allowed to screw up several times before we actually kick you out. No, in our group, the rules are the warning, and it's up to, you know, if you come in and you act a fool, I would much rather make you an example than tell you what our rules are when they're posted. That's just me. I don't have time to go to every single person and say, hey, I don't know what's going on in your personal life. I don't know why you came in here cussing somebody out. I don't have time for that. Our leadership group does not have time for that. Now, if it's somebody that we know well, now if you're unknown and you pop in there and you're talking shit, and there's a really good chance you can get booted quickly. But if we know you, a relationship with you, we actually care about you. We try to understand things, but we don't have time to understand everybody's problem. They came in upset, flipping out, whatever they did. And, you know, the way that we communicate, what we do is we kick them out. And when they go run to another group and say, oh, I got kicked out for whatever reason. And you could take one of the worst groups out there. We've kicked out so many people, but guess what? 90% back in.
So speaking of that, what does that path of redemption look like? When somebody got kicked out, you're saying 90% of them come back. How does that usually go down? Like they understand, or, you know?
Yeah, they understand. Hey, it's not a good idea to come in here and wipe shit on the wall. they'll
Cool.
kick your
So
ass
basically,
out.
what we got from both Patrick and you is there's no permanent bans. It's just a matter of you coming around and, understanding
Right.
what the rules
I mean, I understand what Rick's saying about. Believe me, I mean, I don't have a lot of time either. My moderation team doesn't have a lot of time, but I really have tried from the very beginning in the industry to take a much more, and to me, if somebody, I want somebody to feel like, hey, Lord knows, I mean, I've screwed up a ton of times in my life, and been given a lot of second chances, and I try to do the same thing for the people in my group. And again, a lot of it is just, a lot of times you'd be amazed at just me reaching out to them in a kind, civil way and saying, hey, that post was removed, and here's the reason. You're amazed, way upwards of 75% of the time, that's all it takes to get somebody back on the straight and narrow. Just a brief DM conversation is enough. So, I mean, to me, I look at that as we're going to have that conversation sooner or later anyway. If I kick them out and they want to get back in, we're going to have the conversation then. I just as soon have the conversation ahead of time before they get kicked out.
So, guys, switching gears. Thank you. That's moderation is a big part of it. Switching gears, what I want to find out, another thing is that let's talk to all the members, right? You guys, we all know that. A quick question first, and a percentage, right? So I'll start with you, Rick. What percentage of the members are active? Are actively posting, and you can define what active is, which is in the last week or 2 weeks. What percentage, and give us that, and I'll tell you why I'm asking.
Well, the WFR group, I don't know about what percentage of people post. I honestly don't look at the stats very much. There's a few stats I look at on a weekly basis. Other than that, I don't pay attention to the rest because I think it's going to come natural. But the one thing I know is our group has like 8,600 members. I believe it's 7,300 of them were active within just the last month.
And that's a good number. That's a good number.
Now,
so,
as far as how many of them post, I don't know. Okay. I can't keep up with all that.
That's fine. Patrick, what would you say to that question?
I was actually looking real quick to just see what that number is. So we're at we're at 7,400 and change, somewhere in there, members. And usually when I look at it in a given month, we're at somewhere around 6,000 of those have been active in some way, shape, or form in the group, whether that's liking a comment, liking a post, commenting on a post, posting themselves, whatever the case may be. Roughly 6,000 of the 74 plus 100 are active.
So since you have the mic, Patrick, let's start with you. What can Window Film Pros or Window Film Revolution do to increase participation of the people that come there? What can, is there something that you can do, or is there something you could say to the people that are watching about increasing the participation for the people that are not When I say participating, look, a like is a participation, but in terms of posts and other more active participation.
Well, I mean, some of it I would say, when you get a group as large as Rick's group is or our group is, I don't think you're ever going to get 100%. You're never going to get 100%. I mean, the fact that you have 80% of the people, people get busy with their lives, especially in the last 30 days. People are starting to come out of COVID. Some of them are working 14-hour days just to keep up. So, that number is never going to be 100%. I think I'll go back to what I said in my opening statement. One of the things we're going to try to do as a group is engage in more conversation, ask stimulating questions, use a little bit of, different types of ways that we can engage the community to sort of stimulate certain topics, certain conversations. And I think when you do that, more people become engaged, more people want to share their opinion, things like that. But that being said, I think when you have 70 right on the door of 7,500 people or a larger number than that in Rick's group, I think you're always going to probably see 20% roughly that have not been active in the last month. I mean,
so Patric, no disagreement, right? So I'm just trying to figure out what can one do to increase. Nobody's talking of 100%. I agree with you. Is just more participation. So I've got an idea, and Rick, why don't you answer that? Then I've got a thought that I think that that may help both of you guys and others.
What do I think will get? Listen, first off, I want to clarify something. If the goal is to get engagement, I think we're focusing on goal. I think if we focus on just our individual selves as individuals doing what we can do. Listen, I go and make posts all the time. I don't, and this is just me. I'm not asking people a whole bunch of questions so they get engaged. I just want to lead by example. If you see Patric out putting himself out talking about different subjects, if you see Harry out talking about different subjects, if you see Eric doing what he's doing, inspire people. Don't ask them questions. Inspire them and let them give you the answer to the question you never asked to begin with. Find people's strengths, what their natural strengths are. I'm not a square peg round hole type of person. If it comes natural, I'm happy with it. And if it doesn't, it's going to come around natural on its own later. We have to inspire people by our own actions first. I'm not worried about who's engaged, who's not engaged. And to clarify something from earlier, my goal is to unify the entire film industry. My goal is to unify the entire part of the window film industry that wants to inspire others, that wants to be better. The people in this industry that don't care about that, I don't care about you. I'm just being honest. I don't want you in the group. I don't want you around me. If you're not here to bring a positive influence, because that's just, if you hang cool, but I want people that are forward thinking, cameras too. And some people have a problem with every solution. We've got the solution. If you're going to come up with a problem, I don't want you because there's a big difference between contributing to something, just talking to. I don't. We all have, like I said, we all have different opinions. I just want people around me that think like I do, not exactly perfect. Listen, why are y'all around me? Because you think very similar. You're the type of people that this industry needs. Quit worrying about engage. You engage the industry yourself first. You lead by example. Do exactly that. Don't ask questions. You don't have to ask questions. Look at these Facebook groups. Watch what people are saying. Watch what they're doing. Watch what they're naturally asking questions about. What you already have the answers. Just watch. Well, the answers are already there.
The reason I said that, just to clarify too, about asking questions is not to ask questions just to get engagement. I'm in a group everywhere together with, I hope everybody has a group like this in their lives because I know it's beneficial to me. I'm in a group everywhere. I'm easily the dumbest person in the room, and by time I want to be the dumbest person in the room, and that group has taught me so much because the lead of that group has a way using, not to use a big word, but using the kind of the Socratic method to ask very specific questions that have a way of reaching into everybody and pulling out more information and pulling out a deeper understanding that probably would have happened organically. So when I'm talking about asking questions, I'm talking about taking what already knows and fostering a conversation that's going to bring that to the surface for the benefit of everybody in the group. It's not to try to just stimulate engagement for engagement's sake. It's to try to say, hey, we've got a cumulative brain power here within this group. How can we harness that for the benefit of the entire group? And I think by asking very particular questions and fostering a good conversation, what it allows you to do is trickle.
I agree.
So here's a thought that, and guys, I view things a little differently than maybe some of the not different. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think that I've always been a big believer that a lot of people have a lot of different values to add, but not everyone is great at standing up and saying, "Hey, I got something to say." And there are a lot of people that are so smart that don't have the courage to speak up. So I think that one of the things, and I see this in several of our dealers who are, I mean, we've got, I've got dealers that are, 1 or 2 man shows, and they're doing amazing, right? Or much smaller companies, but they don't have the courage. They're like, well, I'm not big enough or whatever, we could go back into their history of their lives and try to figure out why they don't have it, but they are freaking amazing, and they have amazing ideas, but they don't have the courage to speak up. So I think one of my suggestions to both of you and to others, and by the way, I just want to throw this in there that you guys, both of you are doing a great job in your respective areas, and I want really other groups out there to also see all the things that you guys are doing and find their own niches so that they can do what they do well and not just try to compete with you, but find their own area. So I would say that, encouraging those type, and one of the things you can do, I've seen in some of the groups, I've seen a little bit of shaming as well, right? I've seen a little bit of, oh my God, I can't believe you asked that question. And, when I had kids, one of the things one of my mentors told me, amazing guy, said was that, look, when your kids, whatever idea they have, don't say no, right? Try to encourage it, because then they'll get scared to speak up. So even if it's a happy idea, you're like, oh, very different process. I like the way you're thinking. What are some other options? Just so that could be done in these groups is just kind of keep the moderators keep an eye on that. Nobody is shamed. There is no stupid question. If somebody uses their hand up or ask a question, just keep an eye on it. Give me your thoughts.
I think there's a natural cycle that you can just see in groups. You can see it very much in V-Bulletin message boards and so on. And what that is kind of everything we've just touched on. There's just this, groups start off, they grow, then they start to get kind of the elder members that start to get sick of these newbie questions, and kind of then there becomes that the loudest voice kind of wins, and and I just think there's that cycle in general, not in these specific groups. And basically, as a moderation team, the impossible challenge is to keep as many people in that group understanding the rules, contributing to it, benefiting from it, without letting certain instances somebody's feelings or the bullies. You get these people who are they're very they can be very well respected in the industry, but if they're such a powerful voice and how they come off, it can be very intimidating for new members. And then you kind of end up with this not safe space. And I call that the impossible challenge, because I do think the jobs that Patric, you have, the job Rick that you have, all the moderation teams, these are possible jobs, but they're ones that you do the best you can at. But you're fighting a battle of different emotions, instances, miscommunications, and so on. So that's why I bring it up, because I do think that the more people can understand the intent behind it, whether it be before they have the offense or after the offense, the more they can understand it, the more likely they are to come around and potentially become a valuable contributing member of that group. Whereas for so I kind of feel it's like somebody, I mean, to use the prison system, it's the idea of hey, we want valuable people contributing to our society. But that's not to say that if somebody makes a mistake, goes to jail, that they can't be that contributing member of society later on. It's not well, you fucked up, I need good people, because I think we're all at different stages in our becoming a good person and understanding and so on. And best case scenario, we can get people at all stages to see the light.
So you said the word safe place, and that's where I was going to. Is that create an area if you want people that don't always create an atmosphere that because the number of people that don't speak up, which is a much larger percentage than the ones that do speak up, equal to or maybe a lot greater value to bring. And so just create some safe space for them and encourage them and and make sure the bullies understand that, guys, look, this is this is a place for all, and it is a safe place. Sorry, Patrick, you were saying.
No, I was going to just, Eric said, I mentioned earlier, thinking of one. The reason I'm thinking of the one example that was when he first went into the group was kind of a young gun, cocky, and he was one of the one that was ruffling a lot of feathers and saying a lot of inappropriate things. Him and I had some conversations, and for a brief period of time, he wasn't in the group by his choice and then it came back around, and I'm smiling a little bit because this individual this last weekend has been doing really well through the whole COVID thing and after. And he contacted me offline, and he asked me specifically not to share his name, but he contacted me offline and said, hey, if you know of any window tinters right now that are struggling, he's like, I want a cash donation for you guys specifically donate to that, and we're going to announce that in the next couple of days. But this guy's
what's his name? Who is it?
Young, knew it all, to now saying, like, I don't want any notoriety. I don't want anybody to know who I am. I just am going to donate this money to somebody else in the industry. And that's a great example of what you said, Eric. That guy could have been written off and said that guy's just a jerk, he's a hothead, whatever. He's come back around to be one of the better voices in our entire group, and I'm happy to have him in the group. So,
and Eric, no, Eric, you're not eligible for that money, so don't buy it.
No.
So I don't know who it was. So if I could, let me read it real quick.
It's a great example, though, of we all mature, not just as people in the group. I think we all mature as human beings. I mean, Lord, I hope I'm a better person today than I was when I was 21 years old in the Navy. I thought I had it all figured out already. I'd like to think the older I get, the more I realize I don't have it figured out. But we all go through that, I think. So.
Navy, hey, Patrick, I knew you were a better person because when you were in the Navy, N-A-V-Y, that stood for naive, very young. I was in the Marine Corps, so I got to give you a hard time. If we were in together, I'd be calling you a squid right now.
Yeah. The other thing the Navy stands for, what you're in, I'm very happy I served and I had a great time, but we always used to say Navy means never again volunteer yourself.
Not very motivating, man.
Right.
But
we're saying.
I know earlier Patrick was saying something about not always being like the smartest in the room. I know one thing: when I'm in the room, I'm the ugliest.
Dude, you are highly undervalued. Let me tell you, Rick Tallman, you have done, and what you're working on. I have to commend you. That it's you and Patrick have really done a good job, and I don't know if either one of you get enough credit for it.
Well, neither me or Patrick do anything by ourselves. I try to stay completely humbled because I know for a fact I cannot run WFR by myself. And back when I was running it by myself, I was worse than some of the people that was coming in. Like, I would cuss people out, and just be like, no, you got to get the hell up the road. To hell with you. And once I started getting to that point, it's time to bring in some other people that really care about this group. And that's really what it comes down to. To have a successful group, you just need to have leadership that cares about the content of the group. The atmosphere of the group is more important than content, in my opinion. If you have a good atmosphere, I think the content's going to be a lot better. And it's not so much that you have to get people to buy in. I mean, if people come to a spot and they feel safe, just like you just said, they're going to naturally just get comfortable, and it's not buying in. It's like, hey, I'm home. I didn't even realize it. I'm home. And that can be in any number of groups. But like, again, back to what I said, there's not one monkey running the whole show. And the way that I lead is by example. I remain humble, and I inspire my friends, my family. This is my extended family. I inspire them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And like a lot of people, like same with Patric, I'm sure. Listen, we don't get to see Patric's leadership talking together. A lot of people don't get to see the RCL leadership group talking together. But I'm going to say that if you were a fly on the wall and you could sit there and see how we talk with each other, see how we care about each other, and going all the way back to even if we got somebody causing problems, what do we do about it? You know, there's like 20 of us that have a conversation. Now, not all 20 at once, because some of us are busy and some of us are asleep because, you know, a lot of the moderation groups in Australia. And so they're not always to get in when we are. But my whole thing is I want this group or this industry to feel like family. Now, yes, when just like any other family, you got some crazy ass uncle that you might have to slap the shit out of every now and then when he gets drunk or something. I don't know. You got all that, but ultimately, it all goes back to your heart. Do you care about other people? Are you a selfish person or a selfless person? You can get into religion, politics, I don't care, but in our house, you can't be selfish. You can't be. You have to be a team player. I had to go from being, you know, the leader. It was just me and Ralph there for a while. And so we had to go from being, you know, king dingalings of the group to saying, no, we need this to be a team. You know, we don't need to be, you know, we don't need to be the top preacher and has a following. I don't want a following. I really don't. Like, it actually makes me feel uncomfortable when people say it. But I just want family around me that believes the same thing I believe. And if you get family around you, there's so much less friction. There's not all the arguing. You know, you're respectful of each other's feelings. And whenever you have somebody cussing somebody out or acting a fool, it's because they don't respect somebody. And for whatever reason, they might not know the part on the other end. Like when I first came into the game, the group I came onto was Window Film Pros. Somebody put me on Window Film Pros. And, you know, back then, you know, it was Wild West, and all the groups have improved. Well, I don't know if all of them have improved, but I know Window Film Pros has definitely improved over time. I know WFR's improved, but when I first came in, people did not respect each other at all. There was like 4 people in a group liked each other, and they ran around in a little clique. They didn't respect each other. That's all my group's about, respect. You know, you don't have to, you know, being respectful sometimes can just mean shut the hell up. You know, it all comes down to respect, and it doesn't matter, you know, if now outside of the group, we may not respect each other for different reasons, but in the group, we need to agree to come together to respect each other, whether we like each other or not. Listen, there was a time Patric couldn't stand me and I couldn't stand him, and we didn't like each other, but you know, the one thing we never lost was respect for each other. And if you don't lose respect, what's that?
Eric, I'm back.
I don't know that I ever felt that strongly about you. I mean, I don't think.
Well, I'm speaking for myself. I'll claim it. I'm speaking for myself. I think me.
He's like.
And there's a huge.
Let's pause for 1 second, if I could interject. Harry, your camera turned off. So if there's, we saw your legs for a little bit.
Is it back?
Your camera's not back, and your audio sucks at the moment.
Okay. Struggle.
You can disconnect and just reconnect in.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Say too about that, Eric, is I think every group has its own personality based on maybe a little bit of the extension of the administrator and the moderation team, and I think that's okay. I mean, I think that you know, not everybody joined the same fraternity at college. Not every girl joined the same sorority. I mean, it's okay to have. I mean, you can be respectful and you can be respectful to the other groups and things like that. But I don't think we all have to be a clone of each other either. I think every group has its own distinct personality, and that's okay. I mean, I think as long as it gives people the option to say, some people might feel more comfortable in one group versus another, and it's not to say anything negative about the other group. It's just the room you feel more comfortable in.
Yeah.
I mean,
get in where you fit in.
Yep, I think that's well said. Was there any announcement? I don't know if you were going to announce some changes to the Window Film Pros group or Window Film Pros Consumer Awareness, or if not, no problem. I don't know if that was something you wanted. I saw a post a couple days yesterday, I think.
I mean, we were doing the signups for the dealer locator, and when COVID hit, we were right in the middle of the window where we were doing signups, and we put a pause on that. Normally, we only open up the window for about 30 to 40 days and allow people to sign up, and we put a pause on that because that was happening right in the middle of when COVID started. So we're just about ready to open that window back up, and we're going to prorate the year based on where we're at in the year now. We're also going to offer a new option where somebody can do a monthly payment too if they want. That makes it more budget friendly for them as well. So no real news. It's the same program. Nothing's changed with the program. We're just trying to maneuver around, the speed bump that COVID threw in all of our paths. So we want people that want to be able to be involved, and we want to make as many avenues for them to be involved as possible. We don't want to put roadblocks in somebody's way if they'd really like to be involved. So that's it, though. No real new changes to the program or anything.
Roger Torres asked, "Hey Patrick, can you name your moderators? Rick Tallman, can you name yours? Are moderators something you can, if you go to the group, can you see a list of moderators, or do you? Is that public?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. But I'd be happy to, and I don't want to forget anybody. But I have Chris Robinson, Dennis McMullen, Stan Foster, Michelle Hurtado. I'm going to end up forgetting somebody. Ty Sullivan, Errol, and the Islands. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, and I apologize to whoever I'm forgetting, but I'm just trying to rattle these off the top of my. But you can view, if you go to the group and you click where it says members, it'll tell you who the admin is. It'll tell you who the moderation team is. I think I got but Eddie Schultz from MGT Films. But I'm sure I've forgotten somebody. But if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me directly. I'm happy to share with them, who the moderators are.
And then Rick, I don't want to cut you off. Do you want to list the moderators? Or there's kind of a lot of them. I don't want to say go to the group and you'll see, unless you want to list them.
No, I can remember everybody. I'm going to have let me start with the hardest ones first, because they just joined not too long ago, but it's the Australian crew. We've got Percy. I forgot his damn last name, but it's Percy.
That's a good start.
We got Cole. Well, I'm starting on the hardest ones first, because they just. We've got Cole Gross. We've got Graham Doolin. We've got Richard Charcaro, and we've got Boyd Hunter. That's the Australian crew. For the rest of the group, we have Lauren Abrego. Hold on, let me go to the women so I can categorize everything. Jordan Burkeen, Jenny March Kratz. Marissa Ashley. Okay, I think that's all the women. Now we can go to Robbie Kronberger, David Kratz, Garrett Wilson Jr., Eric DeVass, which is you, obviously.
As of yesterday.
Hoss Evans. Yeah, Hoss Evans. Lisa. I'm sorry, Lisa Anderson Arcoa. I think I said that right. If I didn't, Lisa, I apologize. I do not want to forget a single person, because I'm gonna be like an asshole. The one person I forget is gonna be like, "You forgot me, Rick."
Did you say Dean Mitchell?
Yeah, Dean Mitchell. How could I forget him? Jeff Welch, Jeff Phillips. Who else? That might be it. I don't know. I've only got 10 fingers, and I quit counting when I got to like 9. But I know everybody, with the exception of a couple of people that just came in from Australia. But I trust all of them because Boyd trusts all of them. And Richard Charcaro, I really love that guy. He's like, I don't know, maybe me and him are cousins and just got, different continents. We both got big ass beards and we're funny. I don't know. I like him. And, but it's, shit. Who did I say Jeff Phillips? Can you think of anybody that I forgot, Eric? Give me the first
if I did,
letter.
Dean Mitchell, you forgot him. I don't know how, but I mentioned him. So there's a long list. As you can see, I think the point is there's a lot that goes into moderating these groups. So a lot of people.
Can I say one more thing about the leadership group? I just me personally, I just want to tell everybody on the RCL group, I love you and appreciate you, care about you. And everybody that's on the leadership group, they love and care about this industry just as much as I do. And Patric, I know you, this is just going to I think one of the guys that Patric really is this Gary Vaynerchuk guy. I might not have said his name right. One of the people that inspired me back in the day was Zig Ziglar. And here's the deal. You cannot sell, you can sell anything, but you're going to sell a whole lot more of something if you believe in it. And everybody in our leadership group believes in what we're doing. Period. Everybody. I love it. And I'm sure it's the same with Patric. His group's, been together a lot longer. Our group has probably realistically had about 40 or so people over time. Sometimes even in leadership groups, somebody's not active and maybe it just not works out. But almost everybody that's not in the leadership group anymore, we still have great relations. It's just, we need active people that, are going to be committed to. Listen, it's hard moderating a group. It's not easy.
It's impossible. Impossible.
Patric knows that.
I'm sure Rick has the same. My team. We have a open Facebook DM chat of us, and there's typically on any given day a constant stream of conversation about, hey, did you guys see this post? What do you think? Or keep an eye on this. Let's make sure it doesn't get out of hand. So there's an ongoing open conversation between the team, and as Rick said, some of them, on a particular day may be more busy than others. So some days certain ones carry the load, other days other ones carry the load. Most of the people, but I would echo what Rick said too. There's no way that Window Film Pros would be what it is without my team, and they're an awesome group. And I, a lot of the guys on that and girls on that group I've known for, upwards of 10 years. So they're people more than anything, and they're people that I trust. And I trust to make a call on my behalf that if I'm not available, I trust every one of them to act on my behalf, and I trust their judgment, which is the most important thing to me.
And I have a question. So, we've got, obviously, you guys are doing things very well. There are other groups. Tell us a little bit, each one of you, what is, there could be more groups that come up, and there could be a different rationale or reason for them to come up. But, what do you guys have to say to the other groups that are out there? What sort of advice would you give either to, the first thing could be, hey guys, if you like what you heard today and you want to talk about coming together, we are very open. But the other thing is, if you don't, what advice would you give to some of these other groups and members that are not maybe members of your groups?
You want to go first, Patric?
Yeah, first of all, I'm a big believer in, again, what I said earlier of, you've got to find a room that you're comfortable in and a group you're comfortable in. So if Window Film Pros isn't for whatever reason a group that I'm all for other groups becoming available, because I think certain groups might be a better fit for certain people than other groups. So I would just say, as the owner of a group, the more transparent you can be with the members of your group, or of who you are, what your vision of the group is, what your motivation for starting the group is, the better off. I mean, to me, the one thing that I think has been allowed me to not have a lot of stress in running the group is, I mean, you've known me a long time, Harry. I mean, it's the same story. I mean, it's not my vision for what the group is and what I'm trying to accomplish hasn't changed. I mean, if you have a true north and you have a reason for starting the group, it's going to be what keeps you motivated and keeps you pushing forward. But if you're just starting a group because you're irritated that somebody threw you out of a group, or then, I mean, ultimately that's not going to be something that's going to sustain you, because running a group is a lot of work. And unless you're doing, I mean, most of the groups, you're not monetizing the group. So unless you really have some reason to do it that is going to sustain you, you're typically going to run out of motivation at some point, unless there's a real reason that you want to do, a drive behind what you're trying to do, which I think is great. To me, the more groups that represent the more, the different pockets of the industry, the better. I mean, I think that it's great for somebody to be able to find a group that speaks to them. And, if there's not a group out there that services that, then maybe that would be a motivation to start one that would service that particular group.
And my answer is going to be a lot shorter and more simple. My answer to a successful group, well, this would just be my first step answer. If you want to have a success, I mean, I don't think me or Patric's going to sit here and tell you all the ins and outs of how to make a successful group. But I believe that the very first step is moderate the hell out of it. That's my opinion. I think moderation is the biggest thing, because there are a bunch of groups, and, listen, and there's some groups that are specifically made where you can be an asshole. Like, that's almost a purpose, but listen, at the end of the day, assholes are not as popular as you think. So my whole thing, if you want to have it all depends on what you call successful, but what I call success is having a safe spot. Get rid of the riffraff. They can go find another group. They can do their own thing. And I'm sorry, but people do make comparisons. When somebody, is walking into Patric's group, which I haven't been there in a while, but I'm assuming it's pretty well moderated. And then they walk out of that one and walk next door into it's like the freaking bar, right? And everybody's in here drunker and Cooter Brown, beating the hell out of each other. There's a big difference. Do you want to be around the riffraff bullshit, or do you want to be over here with the people that's got their shit together? That's the difference. Now, if you think a group success is whatever you think is fine by me, but my version of success is, first, just like we've all agreed on, make a safe space. And I'm not talking about a political safe space. Just make a place where people are comfortable and they don't have to worry about outside bullshit. They don't have to worry about somebody bullying them. When I first came onto the scene, everybody was bullying everybody in every group, including Patric's, every single group out there. And to me, and you can call it whatever you want, but Tint Dude used to be the absolute shit. It was the Mac Daddy freaking premier place to be. And it quit getting moderated. And as soon as it stopped getting moderated, and it just, it just turned into shit. That's my opinion. And I don't know. I mean, you can look at every failed group or every group that's in decline, and you can see a common denominator. Everybody's in there cussing each other out and acting stupid. So I think a successful group needs to be the opposite of that completely. That's just me. I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion on what a successful group is.
I got a question. Patric, you mentioned, most, I would imagine both of you, on a personal level, you're not monetizing the groups. You're doing this as a passion for the industry. You didn't start this with the grand schemes of making millions of dollars. It was just a group to bring people together and network and so on. With that said, we've also said how much work goes into a group and how much effort. I mean, Rick, you both run a business all day, and that business pulls you in different directions. Where I'm going with this is, what are your thoughts on if you could see a path, or maybe you already do, to being able to monetize the group so that you could then use more of your time, or maybe all of your time, work time, towards the group and growing the group and extensions of it and so on. Do you think, what do you think of that? Because to sprinkle in a bit of my thoughts, I think if you were to try to do that, you're going to immediately get a lot of negativity on the idea that you're trying to take money from the group. You're trying to take advantage of the group. Maybe your intentions aren't as whole as they should be. However, my side of it, or my angle where I'm kind of leading this, is I think that, at the end of the day, you have your full-time job because you have to pay your bills. If you're able to make your full-time job also be something that, basically what I'm saying is, if you can pay your bill, whatever you pay your bills from, whatever you put your time from, is where it's probably going to grow and do the best. Could that be something like a group? I think it could, but what are your thoughts on it? Is that possibly a landing for you in the future?
Eric, I don't believe. I know you were asking a question, but it was really long. Is there any way to super simplify that question?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're asking.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're asking.
Okay, my question is, have you thought, or do you think it would be possible, or is it possibly in the plans regarding monetizing the group in a way that would allow you to focus your full-time workload, instead of it being tinting windows or running a window film business? Would there be something wrong with being able to make enough money through the group that you're able to invest all your time into the group, at the end bringing more benefit? Is the fear of what people may say if you were to monetize the group stunting that possibility?
You broke up on the last part. So is monetizing a group basically...
Is the potential backlash from the group in any way kind of guide to what you do or don't do as far as monetizing it? You see what I'm saying? If I have a full-time job and I make $50,000 a year, and part-time I run a group. Well, if I can do the group and I can make $50,000 from the group, but that allows me to then focus my entire day on the group, to me, that's a win for the group and a win for you or me in this hypothetical scenario. But what I think happens is, if you were to try to make a living off the group, even so that means you put your life into the group, I feel like there would naturally be backlash. Is that something you've experienced or thought about, or has that?
Go ahead, Rick. I'll let you go.
First off, I just want to say, I have, if I had $50,000.
Hold on. You know what? I'm sorry. Can I just, and I'll shut up. Jeff Rutherford said it really well in the comments. He said, similar to people that live off money made from YouTube, because that's a perfect example. Making a video every week or month is a side job. But if you can make money from that video, then you can make a video every day. And that benefits both the viewers and, of course, yourself. Is that parallel a possibility with a window film group?
I don't see a problem with it. I don't see a problem with somebody making money, but back to my point is if the group made $50,000 this year, we'd have a badass competition somewhere. We'd have an awesome competition. But getting back to your actual question, as far as like living off of the money or basically having the group pay you to have a job, I don't see a problem with that in the future. I think that's going to be a while. Maybe when I'm ready to retire from tinting windows, I'll think about it a lot more. Right now, any dollar that comes in from the group, I just want to put right back into this industry, into this group to build that. In the future, I don't know. Give me 5 or 10 years. We'll see where it's at. And hey, if I can make some coin on it, cool. Because, just like you said, that'd give me more time to be involved in it. I mean, I have no problem, with anybody making money off of their group, but, it just comes down to, as long as you're open and upfront about it, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. It takes money to build websites. It takes money to advertise on Facebook and through Google and stuff like that. And so I don't see where people would have a problem. And if there's people willing to pay, those people are, there's a big difference between somebody saying, hey, I love this industry, and actually putting skin in the game to help. Now, that doesn't always have to be monetarily, don't get me wrong, but one thing's for sure, when you pull money out and lay it on the table, you're making an investment into something that you believe in, period. And so if there's people investing into WFR, I'm going to take that investment and flip it right back into WFR, because that's where they wanted to see it. And like I said, in the future, if I make money, if some of the leaders make money, I'm cool with that. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to make money. The goal is to build a freaking industry that everybody loves. That's my goal.
Well, I mean, as far as, the one thing you said, Eric, what I'll go back to is, I think the pivotal thing there, two different things would be, one, if the purpose of like trying to collect some money were to be a noticeable improvement in the group, I think that would be, something that would be understandable. The second thing is, and I think Rick touched on this, is that the leadership, the admin, is transparent about what's going on, so that everybody kind of understands what's going on. I've never really looked at monetizing from the group from a standpoint that I've always looked at. This is an industry that over 20 years has been very good to me. Still to this day, 95% of the business I do in the window film industry with my agency is via word of mouth from people telling. So I kind of look at running the group and making the investment in running the group as me giving back a little bit to the industry. So I agree with your precept that if somebody were to spend full time running the group, could that be an improvement to the group? And the answer might very well be yes. I guess I always looked at the group the same way I would look at giving a charitable donation or something like that as my way of giving back to the industry. So a good example is I've had people actually approach me to buy like a title sponsorship. When I first started the Window Film Pros podcast, I had a company, several people that were interested in being the title sponsor of the podcast. And I always felt like by doing that, I would lose the credibility that maybe somebody might feel like. I never wanted the group to feel like it was slanted one way or the other. And by doing that, I felt like maybe somebody would have the assumption that my biases were tilted in one direction or another based on the dollars that were coming in. So I just found it easier on my side to just not take those dollars. For the consumer awareness program, we have affiliate sponsors. But I think everybody that's an affiliate sponsor, Harry's one of them. You're one of them, Eric. Tell you that there was no promises of any leverage that sponsorship purchased you, or that there was any special treatment. It was just you believed in what we were doing and wanted to support that. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying, I mean, I really have never allowed myself to think about monetizing the group, but I think you bring up some good points that if it could be for the benefit of the group, I would think that would potentially be a compelling reason to consider it, if you could genuinely say that by collecting money, the group would be improved by that.
So, Eric, I want to, that's a great question. And I want to both of you, I want to say that, there are two philosophies in business. And number one is a cost philosophy. And there's so many people that focus on, okay, what's my cost? And then the other one is a return philosophy, which is, I don't care what my cost is. The question is, how much money can I make off of it? So there's so many, even dealers, there's so many of, okay, well, I want the cheapest product, or I want this product so I can increase my margin on it, and I can sell for X amount. And then the other is, look, I don't care what my cost is. The question is, what can I get for it? So I want to touch on that. Again, I'm not talking for Eric. I'm not talking for, he can agree or disagree with it, or others. But what I am saying is that at the end of the day, for our dealers, for the Veloce dealers, and that I represent as well, it's the return, which is, you know what, you want to charge for it, you want to increase the cost, you want to put a membership fee. It is all good as long as there's a value that they are getting for that money. Don't be afraid to monetize the group if you're adding value, and that may separate you from some of the other groups. So just wanted to kind of put that out there. Money is not a bad thing.
Rick?
Oh, listen. Hey, as far as the time that I've invested, the money that I've invested into this, and I got to go back to this. My return on my investment is the relationships that I've built with people, period. Oh, and I did forget somebody earlier, I think. Dave Dellinger. Buddy, I love you, and if I forgot you, I apologize, but I love you. But that is my investment. Dave Dellinger is my return on investment. Eric DeVash is my return on my investment. Harry Rahman, you're my return on my investment. Patric, you're going to be a big ass return. You just don't realize it yet. But that's my return on my investment right now. That's my return. That's what I get out of it. Because listen, going to Texas and hanging out, just like somebody was saying, asking me about the solar control competition, going to that is what drives me. I want to be around my people, and going to Indianapolis, going to Orlando, going like with Lisa, and we had the big event here a while back. Everybody went to her shop for a big common thing, the industry coming together. That's my return on my investment. That's what makes it all worthwhile. You could hand me $50,000, but that wouldn't make up for the relationship.
It's not about the no, but you're missing the point in that response, because what I'm saying is if you're able to supplement an income, then you'd be able to use the time to build more relationships potentially. That's the idea, is that it's not that your intention changes to be income. It's that when your income is taken care of by something, you can then focus even more in there. Something that generates income can then provide jobs not only for you, but it could provide jobs for tinters who's out of work, or it could, moderation jobs and content creation jobs. And, there's also all sorts of ways. And those content creation jobs go benefit somebody else. And, I think that there's a lot of, even opportunity where you may find, there may be a tinter out there that says, hey, I can make a good YouTube video, or I can make a very helpful Instagram video, but, I can't make any money off of it. So what's the point? And there can be ways to enable even allowing other people to monetize their content creation, so on. So that's where my mindset was going with it. Not that your intention would then be for money. It's just a matter of, could you imagine, or have you thought of, or because I know what would happen if you said, hey, I'm running this group and I'm going to take a payroll from it. The first thing would be is, this guy's just using us for money. And sometimes the thought of, well, it's just how a business operates. If you were tinting windows as a hobby, you wouldn't be at the shop right now 6 days a week, because you'd have to be making a living. You can't do it. You can only do so much as a hobby. You know what I mean? You can only do so much.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I say this thought too to people sometimes is, when you talk about, hey, I want to donate some time to a cause, or I want to donate some money to a cause. Well, can you imagine you can donate a day a week or 2 days a week to a cause and go help out? Or you could potentially make millions of dollars and help out with thousands of people's effort and have a greater effect. That's in a rough example. That's all I'm saying, is there are ways to exponentially grow that, and money becomes a part of it. And I feel like money also triggers a lot of kind of, I don't know, if jealousies and weird conspiracies and all sorts of shit.
Can I just say something about the whole monetizing thing? You mentioned that, hey, this guy's just making money, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you the easiest way to avoid that: build up trust. Because if somebody is saying things like that, they just don't trust you, and maybe you're not trustworthy. I'm open and up front with everybody in the core group, especially. Now, I'm not open and up front with everybody in WFR, but with our leadership group, everybody knows what's going on. And speaking of money, there was a period of time where we had money coming in, And I was like, I couldn't even use it. And one of our leaders was holding on to the money until I could get to a point where we can invest it into something. Like, I let one of the leaders hold the money, no problem. It all comes down to trust. If you trust people, then you're not going to be asking, what's that guy doing with the money? If you just trust people, it don't matter. If you trust him, it's like, hey, I know he's going to do what's right. And here's the other thing, going back to what you said, if you can visibly see just tangible things that are improving your group, that are improving your organization with money coming in, if you're continually improving, just like I say, like this website that we're about to be doing, it cost a shit ton of money, and I've had to come out of my own personal pocket for it. So like the investments from, from our affiliate partners, it got like 80% of it done, right? I've had to fork out the other 20, and I'm totally fine with that because I know that's going to wind up covering, as long as the group covers its cost and a little bit extra, I'm happy. I just want to see the group, the website costs get covered and a little bit more so we can save that up and expand in the future. That's where our money's going. Now, in 3, 5, 10 years, and when it's running good and somebody, wants to hand me a lot more money, I'm not going to turn it down. I'm going to take it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to turn money down because it's a tool. It's a tool that we can use and improve stuff. And let's say everything's running perfect and it's bonus money. Then I might be like, cool, now I can spend more time calling Patric on the phone, calling y'all on the phone. I mean, whatever, so I'm agreeing completely with what you just said.
Yeah.
Totally, completely. Now, Harry, look at that guy. He's just in it for the money. I mean, he's over there smiling. I mean, you can't trust a smile like that. Look at that guy.
Well, we're all smiling, so I guess we're all equally guilty of smiling.
Yeah.
Listen,
Sorry,
we all got to have money. It's just all it comes down to is, are they abusing it?
Well, and I think I want to take a second too to give Eric. I mean, I know you probably don't want us to do this, but it's great to me. You're a good example of somebody that's giving back to the industry as well. I mean, you're 75 episodes in right now. And that takes a lot of time, not only to plan those episodes, but to execute them. And I mean, I look at that as like, so to me, I want to applaud because, you're in a similar situation where it's not exactly a group, but I mean, there's probably opportunities for you to monetize what you've built with this. And it's one of those things where I wouldn't begrudge anybody for monetizing anything, or if you wanted to monetize. It's just a matter of like, if you were to say, hey, I'm going to be able to provide more value, to your point, be able to do more videos, more podcasts, then I think that there's, then that's great. I mean, so anyway, I just wanted to make sure you got a shout out because you've done an incredible job of fostering a lot of conversations with this podcast. And I don't think you get enough people giving you a shout out for. I know it's a lot of hard work, and I want to make sure you get a shout out for that.
Agreed. Can we get the clap going? Can we get the clap?
I appreciate that. I'm glad to be able to have the opportunity to do it. I think obviously we couldn't do today's or a lot of the previous Tint Wisdoms without literally all three of your help, and everybody else is out there, the people who watch it, the people who've been on it, and so on. And so, yeah, I mean, thank you for pointing that out. And Maverick said, like what Eric did, he sold his window tint company and now it's Tint Wiz. I mean, that was the biggest thing, was just the idea that, hey, I love Tint Wiz. How can I focus on it? And you have to sometimes make a leap from what you're doing that pays the bills to what you want to do and somehow make it pay the bill. And
so, Eric, I want to touch on that real quick. So, Rick, you are right, man. It is. Do I love money? Sure, I do. And but just like yourself, to leave a job that you've worked at for 18 years and to start just like what Eric did when he sold his company, or when Patric made the transition, or when you started this. If you believe in, and I'll use in the words of the great Rick Tallman, I'll use his words. If you believe in it, and you believe in the vision, and you believe in what you want to do differently and what you want to do better, then you know what, you'll take the leap of faith. Trust me, it's been been close to 2 years, and my wife still asks me, hey, are we going to see a paycheck someday? Right? So yeah, but you know what? There will be a time. There will be a time, and I'm very thankful that people like you guys have supported me.
Hey, we're thankful for you. You're all right.
Thanks.
All right. Well, this might be a good spot to wrap it up. I mean, we're nearing in on 2 hours, and I imagine you all are busy people. So thank you all for coming together and doing this. I think this was an exceptional Tint Wisdom, and thanks for everybody for watching. The whole deal. A lot of thanks all around.
Yeah.
Thanks,
absolutely.
guys, and thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Patric and Rick coming together.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, I've had a great time. Hey, you know what? I love each of you, even you, Patric.
All right.
We've got all the noises.
Signing out.
All right, take care.
Bye.
See y'all.